Hi friends, welcome to WebChamp. In this video, I'm going to discuss functions in SQL. Okay, so what is functions? We may have already used functions in SQL to perform some kind of operation on table or on column. Okay, not a table, on column values. Okay, so we can define like this. Suppose if I state the function is a block of code or set of code, I can say it is a set of SQL statements. Yes, this is the way we can define. So function is a set of SQL statements which is used to perform certain operation. Okay, so certain means anything. Okay, any kind of operation, certain operations on SQL or on field. Okay, so fields meaning column, fields meaning column. Okay, table fields. So this is how we can define. So a function is basically a set of SQL statements which is used to perform the certain operation on table field. Okay, and what are the different types of operations we can perform? So we can perform mathematical operation, we can perform text related operation, we can perform date related operation. Operation is nothing but getting some kind of information, finding out some operation, or finding out some information by performing a mathematical operation or by extracting the data. Like we slice out the text, or we concatenate, we join the text. These kinds are, or these things are treated as an operation. Operation is nothing difficult. Okay, it's we are performing something, we are trying to change the data somehow. Okay, we are trying to change the data somehow is nothing but operation. Okay, so we may have functions related to text, we may have functions related to date, or maybe I have discussed aggregation functions in my previous video. So what are the different aggregation functions I used? So I used count, I used max, I used mean, I used average, and then sum. So these are the aggregation functions. Okay, and we have not created any function out of these, right? So these functions are system by default function. So we refer these functions as a built-in function. And suppose if you create a function as a user, if I create a function for any of the database, on any of the database, then that function is referred as a user defined function, the function which is created by user to perform some operation. Okay, what are the different operations we can perform? Suppose I have a database. Okay, and I will select this database sales data. So let's start with the selection, and then we will see how we can segregate the function, how we can create the function, how we can write the function, and how we can use that function to get the output. Okay, function is very similar to the store procedure. It looks like store procedure, but purpose of store procedure is different, and purpose of function is different. Purpose of function is to perform the operation on data, while okay, store procedure is mainly used for the purpose of avoiding writing the same query again and again, or same SQL code again and again. Okay, so that was the difference. Okay, I will select the database here. I will say sales data. This is what the database I have selected. I will say yes, done. Once the database is selected, you can use the functions inside the select statement while querying the data. This is what, whenever we use select statement, meaning we are trying to fetch the data, and when we are fetching the data, that process is referred as querying the data. And I will say from cell, there is a table called cell, and from which I am fetching the data. So you can see there is a table called cell. Okay, suppose I would like to perform some kind of operation. I would like to get the count, right? I would like to get the count. So I'm performing the operation. I'm applying the function on the this star. Star is meaning in all the records. Okay, we can apply these functions on any other field also, right? Like if I say star, I need to check what columns are there. Okay, so if I would like to perform the count on any of the field, yes, we are able to that also. I will say order ID, and I can get the count of order IDs in this table. So this is how function. So basically you can simply say that function is a block of code which is used to perform the operation on the data or column data of a table, database table, uh, while querying the data. While querying, whenever we are trying to fetch records, we can use the functions. Okay, and functions always called or used with select statement. Okay, remember this. We won't be able to say like this call and count. Okay, like we did for the store procedure. Store procedure can be called, but we don't need to call the function. We have to use the function inside our SQL query. Okay, so now it's time to create user defined function, the function which we will define. Okay, so here you can see that I don't have any function already exist in my sales data database. So I'm going to create a function. So definitely, as I said, we need to create a function. So I would like to use the same definition or data definition language, DDL, create, right? Create function. Simply as like we created a database, we created a table. Simply we created store procedure. Similarly, we are going to create a function, and you have to write create function. Okay, the moment you state this, you are supposed to give the name to that function. So I will give the name to that function. So what we can do? Okay, I will say sum of numbers. Okay, this is what my function. Okay, or yes, it's fine. Okay, the function name could be anything. You can enter your choice of name. I will say sum of num. This is what my function. So this function is going to give me the sum of two numbers. Sum of two numbers. Okay, how this works, how we can use this function on the column, that everything will be discussed. Okay, so now so you have defined a function, but you have not defined, okay, what are the values that function will take, or how the values will pass. So we can pass the value as an input parameter. Okay, whenever we are trying to use this function, like we passed values of order IDs to count function, like we used values of order IDs to count function. We can do the same thing here, but here what we are going to use, we are going to use the numbers only. So I will say first number a as my number. So number is referred by integer type data type. Okay, and I will say another number is my int number. Okay, so I have two uh, number type values a and b, number type values. Okay, and the value of a and b is passed while using the function, while using, or while yes, while using the function in select statement. So I will discuss that also. Okay, whenever you define the function, this is what a function definition. You are supposed to write, you are supposed to write what the function is going to returns, and this function is going to returns what type of value. So I will say this function is going to return integer type of value, and then you have to write deterministic. Deterministic is a keyword that is used while creating user defined function, when the function is going to return a constant value. Constant means whenever we pass two numbers, it will perform the same operation. Okay, it will produce the same result. If I pass 10 and 10 100 times, it will produce the same result. Okay, but non-deterministic functions will not produce the same result. Suppose date, if you want. Okay, if you use the date, right? If I use the function called select, I don't know whether now is existed there or not, or whether it is working. If I use this function, okay, now my timing is when I called this function 9:27:19. Okay, and again if I try to call this function, the seconds are changed, means the value, output value is changing. Okay, but in case of deterministic, output value will not change if we pass the same input. Okay, but non-deterministic functions are not giving the constant value or same value if we pass the same number. So this is how we can define. Okay, in simple layman term, I told what is deterministic and non-deterministic. Okay, so this function is we are going to define as a deterministic function. Once you write this, you are supposed to begin the function code. So you can use the keyword called begin. Once we start begin, you are supposed to use the end. Okay, begin and end always comes together, and in between begin and end, you can write your SQL function code. You can write your SQL function code. So what I want, okay, what I want, if you want to perform anything, any operation, you can perform. Okay, so I will simply say this function is going to return me the sum of a plus b, right? This function is going to simply return me the a plus b. But now again, there is something is missing. So whenever you define, whenever we define the function in SQL, we are supposed to define delimiter, means starting point and end point of function. So delimiter. So this, okay, delimiter. Let me say 1 second. Delimiter, and I will say I will add delimiter. Okay, delimiter, not a delimiter. Okay, it's a delimiter. Okay, a delimiter is a separator which define start point and end point of your function definition. Start point and end point of your functionation. That's why you need delimiter. You can use two types of delimiter. Either you can use dollar symbol twice, or you can use forward slash as a delimiter. Everything would be fine. Okay, so I will remove this, and now I will execute this. Okay, and if I refresh this, you can see that there is a function created. Okay, there is a function created. How I can call the function? You can go in front of your function, or you can simply write select. Okay, you can simply write select, and then function name sum of num. Okay, and obviously it will ask you, or you are supposed to pass the value for a and b. I will pass value of a as a 10, value of b as a 10, right? And I will execute this. Am I getting output of 20? 10 plus 10, 20. I will change this. Okay, 10, 20. So output will be 30. So we can say that this function is successfully created and we are able to use the function. Now, what I did earlier, I will say select star from cell. Now I will show you how we can use this function inside querying or while querying the data. So I have a quantity and I would like to change the quantity. I would like to add something to the quantity. I can add, right? How to add? By using this function. We can use this function on quantity column, and we can pass first value as a quantity, second value. Or suppose I would like to have a new column. Okay, I would like to have a new column. Okay, which will give me the unit price. Okay, unit price like this, or which will give me the sum of two columns. We can use this function. Okay, so this is how we can define the functions, but I will show you. I supposed to show you. Okay, I want order ID again. Then I want a ship mode. Again, I want a region. Okay, region again. I want sales. Region again. I want a sales. Again, I want quantity. So these columns we already have, and now I would like to add the sum. Okay, I will create, or I will use this function sum of quantity. Okay, so I can pass quantity column like we already passed our order ID column to one of our count function, aggregation function. Same thing I'm doing here. I'm just passing quantity as an argument, and I will say add. I would like to add everywhere. Okay. For each of record, I would like to add quantity by 10. Okay. And as I can say added, I can say added QTY. Okay. And you are supposed to, if you want a space between two, you can use backticks. That's what I might be already discussed. Okay. I don't want these columns. I can remove this so that you can see my query, entire query. And if I execute this, okay, it is showing something that you have added quantity from sale. Okay. Oh, my bad. Sum of number I should use. Sum of number. I was trying to use another number. I mean another function. That was my bad. Okay. And if I try to fetch the records now, you can see that there is a column added, right? By using function. And the function is going to add everywhere. 3 is added. 3 is changed to 13, 13 is changed to 23, 7 is changed to 17. So we can say that my function is successfully worked in or while querying the data. Like this, you can create functions in SQL and you can perform the operation on any column while querying the data, while fetching the data. That is the use of function. That is the use of function in SQL. I hope you like the content of this video. Do not forget to subscribe the webcam. Thank you so much for watching the video. Have a nice day.